Hey, coaches, welcome to Championship Culture. Got a fantastic guest tonight, a good old buddy of mine, John Poulnott. John has been on the YouTube channel multiple times, but John has had an exciting April, and he got a new hip, and he was named head football coach at Lakewood High School in Hebron, Ohio. John had, did I say it right? You laughed when I said it.
Hebron, but
Hebron. All right. Hebron.
yeah.
All right. Up in Ohio. John was a very successful North Carolina coach. He was 7 years at East Wake and had a fantastic run there. And then I'm going to let him tell the story in a little bit. But then him and his wife's a travel nurse, and they took their family on the road for 2 years, a little more than 2 years, and traveled the country. Their kids were just at the right age. So John did that for 2 years, and then they relocated back in Ohio, where he was from. One of his stops, he was an Air Force child, so they moved a lot, but that was one of the places they called home. And John, buddy, I'm excited to have you on here. I appreciate you doing this for me, and tell the travel story a little bit, and then we'll jump on the questions and run through them.
Sounds good. Well, first of all, the travel story, my wife decided she wanted to become a travel nurse, after 7 years at East Wake. Felt like it was a good time to do it. Like Joe said, my son and my daughter were at the right age to go ahead and take a trip around the country for a couple of years and let them explore America and see the real history, the real terrain as we went around. And we spent a lot of time doing a lot of Civil War sites and just a lot of historical, sites, from the Northeast all the way to Texas and then up the West Coast. We made as many stops as we could to show them what the culture was like in the different areas of the country, and it was very rewarding for them. The other thing we did is we tried to make sure that we were continuing our service that we did a lot with our church in North Carolina. So we took Bibles and food with us along the way in packs, and as we came across individuals that were in a situation where they needed some support, we were handing those items out. But with the food and with the gum and with the candy and whatever we were handing out, always came a Bible. So that's one of the things that we spent a lot of time doing as we were on the road. We ended up taking a stop in Virginia, taking a stop in New Hampshire, Texas twice, New Mexico once, and then we took our last trip up to Alaska before returning to Ohio. And while I was in Alaska, where I actually played middle school football as an Air Force brat. My son was an 8th grader being homeschooled with me, but the local football program allowed him to play with the North Pole middle school team. So I helped coach one season in Alaska before we ended up back in Ohio. Not intending to stay. We always we're going back to North Carolina when it's all said and done. But family needs were more important than our wants. So we stayed in Ohio to help my mother-in-law and my father-in-law out. And we're currently living in one little house, not so little, but and was lucky enough to land a job at Lakewood High School, a very dominant baseball program here that has had hard times in the football field for the last 20 plus years. They've really struggled to have winning seasons consistently. It's been a tough ride for us for a while. So head coach stepped down this year abruptly, and I was lucky enough to be considered as the head coach. And as Joe said, I was getting a new hip the same day I was hired as the head coach. So, but rehab is going well, and we're ready to tackle this thing full speed ahead.
Awesome, man. I was always super impressed. John was at a big school in North Carolina and had a really good run there, and just stepped down to do the travel thing with the kids and the wife, just because the kids were just at that perfect age. And I was always super impressed with your sense of family and ability to do that. I know some guys wouldn't have done that, but
Yeah. It was tough. It was tough.
For the kids. Say again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and we always talk about faith, family, academics, and football, but rarely do we find ourselves putting those that acronym in order. As coaches, we flip that last F into the first F, and then we tell our community, we tell our team that, hey, it's got to be in this order, but then we don't live that life. So not that was the intention, but that is something that even at this day and time, our wives still think we put football before everything else.
Well, you got yours now. She can't say that anymore.
You would think.
All right, but I'm with you. We all say it, then don't do it, but you actually do it. So great. I was always super impressed that you did that. So let's jump into it. I know you just told a lot about yourself, but question number one: can you give a 1-minute elevator introduction of yourself?
Well, as Coach Salas alluded to, I spent a lot of time in North Carolina. 20 years coaching down there. I'm originally from Ohio, and after my first year coaching here, there was some issues with the financial situation in the district that I was in. So decided to go down to North Carolina, where I had some family that were asking me to come down there and teach. And I was lucky enough, and I don't know how I didn't know how blessed I was at the time to land in Clayton, North Carolina. But it was a catalyst of so many great things to come as a coach, as a teacher, meeting coaches like Coach Salas and the great Gary Fowler, and all the staff that he had. Just it was an eye-opening experience. I never, as a player, and short term as a coach, understood the family aspect that needed to be part of a program that was going to be successful continually, and just the notion that teams win every now and then, but programs that are entrenched in their culture. This is a big thing to us. We'll have consistent winning instead of temporary years like, we went 6-5 this year, we went 7-4 this year, whatever. But when you look at the averages, along the way, you're a 3-7 team, 3-4 team, or 3-4, 3-8 team most times, because your culture is up and down. You don't have any stability in what you're trying to teach your kid. It's only X's and O's. Your expectation is only to win. It's not to develop the character of the kids in your program. And there's some communities and there's some teams that thrive on that alone. But I would venture to say the ones that are really reaching the kids are presenting culture aspects to their program and helping the kids become better men, better fathers as they grow up and understand the importance of the things that we're trying to shape them with. But after Clayton, I took a little gamble with Coach Salas, and we went to Franklinton to try to improve a program there. And I think we did an outstanding job. Team that was 2-9 repeatedly, and we climbed the mountain. Left, that last year we had 8 wins, and then should have stayed on your coattail and went down to South Johnson. But I was a naive, young coach still, and like, no, winning ain't happening there. So I'm going to find someone that wins. And even though I ended up Millbrook instead of South Johnson, I had a great experience there and grew so much under Coach Enscore and the other surrounding staff, that was there. But Joe proved to me that you can turn your perennial losers around if you use culture as your foundational piece, because that was what he did at Franklinton with the FCA programs and all the going out of state that these kids had never experienced, giving them new experiences to grow with. And I'm sure you did a lot of those things at South Johnson, and we did a lot of things at Millbrook, but it wasn't necessarily as culture based as you were doing. So, but nonetheless, it was still a great adventure at Millbrook. We had great winning years, and I had the had to endure a couple of years of coaching the wing T, which is a great offense, mind you, but because I know some of you guys out there love it, and I still incorporate a lot of wing T principles in my program, but it was it was a great experience. And then jump a couple stories ahead. I was at Northern Durham and was asked to not step down, but again, funding was an issue. You're going to be on whatever term they used. We can't bring you back right now, but we hope we'll have the funding for you. So I was like, yeah, it's time to look for a head coaching job. It's time to look for a head coaching job. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm hungry. So I felt like God was kicking me in the butt and saying, hey, you're ready for this. Go out there and find you a program to work with. And lucky enough, I ended up at East Wake. And 7 years there and building that program. We had a really good run, especially later in my time there. We went 10-3 my best year. Lost to Scotland, which a lot of people lose to. Lost to, I think, Millbrook on like a 3-point game, and lost to Wake Forest. I mean, those are three. If those are your three losses, and they were close games too. So, but the kids there, and they impressed the heck out of me, because even when we were outmanned, the East Wake kids just never felt like they didn't have an opportunity to win. And that's one of the things I'm trying to impress on the Lakewood kids that I'm currently with is how important belief is, because we've lost so many games at Lakewood, and I'm not even just talking football. I'm talking across the sports spectrum at Lakewood. We've lost so many games before we even got off the bus, because before you even load up, the kids are saying, oh, we're playing this team, so we don't have a chance. We're playing that team. You see their athletes, we don't have a chance. There's got to be a real targeted effort to improve that mindset at Lakewood to give us a chance to build a program that's going to be successful consistently.
Awesome, man. I feel like I know you now. Hey, I did forget to ask. Now that the new hip hasn't interfered with your golf swing, has it?
No, but I do have to buy a glove every now and
then. All right, question number 2. How do you define culture in your program?
How do I define culture? Culture to me is the cornerstone of the program. Shared belief and values, the traditions that you're trying to build, the traditions that are already established. When you come into a program, you don't get to always decide what the traditions are. I'm not huge on singing the alma mater, or however you say that word, but that's a big thing at Lakewood. So and it's going to be something we consistently do because it's a traditional piece. At the end of every game, win or lose, we go to the band, we stand in front of them and we sing, and we hold hands and we gather up, and that's what we do. So it's going to be part of who we are, moving forward. Teaching that, when I was at not Delta State, when I played at Ashland, we had to learn the fight song too, and there was some consequences if you didn't learn it at Ashland. We're not trying to promote those type of things, but the kids have got to learn, this is a meaningful piece of the puzzle here, because it's part of our traditional piece. And it's just like any other goal that you set, whether it's offensive goal, wins or loss goal, it's part of who we are. And the kids have got to buy into the complete package. There's not pieces of the puzzle that they get to buy into to be a Lancer. It's all or nothing. And if you want to be in our circle, you got to understand these are the things that we are aspiring to be. And one of those things is service. We're going to serve our community. And I at East Wake, I can continually talk to the kids, and I continually talk to the kids here. Even though I'm a brand new head coach, I've been lucky enough to be on campus for 3 years, so I know the kids. But and Coach Lee, who I'm replacing, was a huge service-oriented coach as well. So it's not going to be so new, but there might be some new things that we do But bottom line is it's the cornerstones that charter your program. And then, like I said before, if you don't have those pieces that are guiding you, it's going to be an up and down process. There's not going to be a continual climb. And in the program, you're just going to be good year, bad year, good year, bad year, bad year, bad year, good year. And we want to be consistent in what we do here. And culture helps you define what that is and how to get there.
All right, so you've mentioned singing alma mater and you've mentioned service. That's question number 3 is, what are the 3 best things you do to build culture in your program? And I know you're going to mix in some things you did at East Wake because you're just getting started at Lakewood. And I know you're keeping some of the things that the previous coach did, but just kind of listen and describe them for us. What are your big 3, your top 3?
Okay. Well, as I said, I'll start with, it's not necessarily what I think is the most important. And I don't know that I have a hierarchy of most important here, because I think they all create the atmosphere in the program, the emphasis of the program that you want, at least I want. And the first one is the service projects. Like I said, and I've always talked to, when you're going door to door and when you're selling this and selling that, hey, help the football program, help the football program, help the football program. And that's all the community ever sees is, here comes a football guy. He's in a jersey. He wants $20 for a card. He wants $20 for a beanie. He wants $20 for this. That's not what I want them to think about when they see us in the streets. I want them to see us serving the community, being in a situation where we might be at a homeless shelter, helping a homeless shelter, doing service projects at a veteran housing home, where they need yard work done, or even on our own campus, doing campus cleanups and things like that, going out and, doing things for the veterans, like putting flags on the veterans' grave sites, throughout the year to replace the weathered, flag, so that the community knows that that's something that we care about. We care about our veterans, and we're going to help the I'm trying to remember the name of the program, Legion, go out there and replace those flags. So we do that on a yearly basis. Coach Lee was big on that, and as a son of a 24-year vet, it's real important for me to do those things. And I don't want to push out this image of, look at us, this is what we're doing, post everything that we do online, but I do want the community to realize that was us doing it. And we're not here to pat ourselves on the back, but when we at Northern Durham with Coach Sullivan, we would go to food lines and hand out food to the needy in Durham County. And it's an awakening for those kids, because some of them are coming from a background where they don't understand the strifes of other people in the community. And we want them to be exposed to those things so they can understand how you can help others with the littlest of things. And then, when we're out there asking for donations, people can say, yeah, I'm willing to help you out because you're willing to help us out. So that's one of the big messages I try to put forth in our program. Then moving to just having a family atmosphere like we had at Clayton, where it's not necessarily the same type of family atmosphere, but trying to create an atmosphere where the parents understand you're in this circle with us. This is not an exclusive circle with coaches and players. The parents are part of that circle, because, this day and time, we have a lot of social media interference from players themselves, and then parents jumping on the bandwagon, or, just because, something's not going right on Friday night, they feel like, oh, let me get out here and air my wind on social media. And I want them to understand that, no, you are part of the Lancer family. You're one of us. So when you're airing that stuff publicly, you're attacking us. You're part of us. So how does that serve us to build our program? That's only hurting us. So just trying to get, the family and the players to understand, those things by breaking bread together as often as possible. The cookouts, having cookouts, bringing them in and having them part of our service projects when we go out, because and the one thing that we haven't done at Lakewood in the past is we haven't included the parents in those efforts. It's always been, all right, players come do this, players come do that, and the parents have been excluded from that opportunity to go out and serve the community. And they're going to be the ones, how a lot of fundraisers happen. We hand it to the kid and they hand it to the parent, so they're part of that as well. So and one of the other things that we do, trying to create a family environment is, we want to go on bowling parties and things like that. When I was with Coach Sullivan, we took our kids bowling all the time at the Palace up in near can't even remember the name of the town, but Roxborough. So you didn't have to go there, but we were going to be there, and everybody was invited, come bowl and have a good time, what have you, hang out, because what we do is we're going to do things Monday through Thursday during the summer, but Friday, Saturday, and Sunday have nothing to do with football. If we're doing something on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's going to be family oriented, team bonding oriented projects where we're coming together, and it has nothing to do with X's and O's, has nothing to do with football development. Now we're developing character, and we're developing, the awareness of what's going on in the community and how we can serve the community. And we want to do things with our leadership council. Like they might go to Top Golf. That's one of the things up here. I don't know if you guys have it in Raleigh yet, but it's a huge thing up here. So it might be, we're going to take our leadership council on this event. You want to go to this event? Do something to get voted into the leadership council. Here's a senior outing. We used to do those at Franklinton, so taking the seniors on something. When you're a senior year, you're going to be rewarded with this type of, this is what we do as seniors. We get the seniors together and we go here. So those are types of things that I want to introduce to the program that haven't necessarily been happening over the last 3 years that I've been here. So, but creating that family environment where everybody realizes we're together in this plight, and if we're airing everything that goes wrong, we're not helping us build. We want people to be attracted to Lakewood football. What are the things that we can do to make it more attractive? If they're sitting there going, well, Lakewood football is always, in social media, they're doing this and doing that, and they how things are. They don't talk about the positives when there's negatives to be talked about. The negatives always suppress any positive you're doing. So we want everything that we can do to be aired, to be public, that's positive in what we're doing, along the way. And lastly, and this is one of those things where it's not necessarily, the answer that a lot of people are looking, but academics is one of the huge things that we spend a lot of time with. We're in a situation at Lakewood where we have anywhere from 8 to 10, maybe even more players that aren't on our campus because they're at a joint vocational school, which is 15-20 minutes away from our school. So, and they let out at the same time we do. So there's that transition time for them to get to us before we can even start anything. So we're not starting practice when we could, because we have a lot of kids that are going to fire training, medic training, nursing training, learn to be welders and things like that on a satellite site that we've got to wait to get to us. So when we're sitting there idle, we're having study table. We're doing study table. So study table is there, but you can be in the weight room, you can be doing video, you can be doing study table. So if you're not carrying a C in a class, you have a C minus, you're not doing film, you're not doing weight room. Study tables where you're going to be. So there's an emphasis there of academics as priority in our program. We don't just say we want to have a 3.0 GPA, team average. We're going to promote that, to the nth degree. Now we do, the monitoring that a lot of coaches do, hand out the grade check on Monday. It's got to come in by Wednesday. So we have a 2-day buffer to get anything that you can done to help you raise that D to a C or that F to a D, whatever we can do to make you academically eligible to play on Friday night at Lakewood. So those are some of the things that we try to push at Lakewood, or have been pushing at Lakewood. There's been a little bit of spin, as you said, but from what we've been previously doing here and some of the things I'm going to bring up from East Wake. But in fundraising itself can be a family affair. The golf tournaments and the barbecue plate sales, that's a family affair if you make it the right, you do it the right way, instead of it just being, we're doing this for, just for raising funds. No, we want this to be a gathering of all the guys and the parents in our program, and we want it to be a rewarding experience. So just emphasizing those things.
Love it, man. You reminded me of a few things I need to get back on: the senior trips and the bowling parties. I mean, all that was like a trip down memory lane.
Oh yeah. Just remember, don't make sure that guy in the speedboat doesn't get too close to the pontoon boat.
That's important. That's important. That was one we did in Frankfurt. All right. So question number 4. Now that you're an old wily veteran,
yeah,
what do you know now that you wish you knew when you first got started?
Wow. I mean, this is one of those hard ones because it may not be hard to everybody, and maybe it's just me being naive still. Because I came into this thing fairly humble, because I remember my first year coaching, at Newark High School. I was one of the middle school coaches here in Ohio, and I was coaching Roosevelt Lincoln, and Lincoln wasn't even supposed to be mine, but they only had 12 kids show up to play, so they sent them to me to play with me at Roosevelt. And the big thing, and as I sit here and talk about the academic piece, I remember teachers from Lincoln complaining about my players. They're not doing their work. They're acting up in class, and me thinking, why is that my problem? I'm here to coach football. And I was completely disconnected about the importance of the holistic approach of coaching football, coaching anything. All of these things are important to us. That kid's attitude in class, that matters to me now. Back then, I'm a football coach. What are you messing with me for? Yeah, he's got a D. I mean, is he passing? I mean, what are we talking about here? That's not me anymore. So it did. But the X's and O piece. You think everything. I played college football. I was a high school football player. What have you? I know, and then you get the playbook from what was a wing tee playbook at Newark at the time, and I'm sitting there, what in the heck is this? I've never seen anything like this before. And then you're like, oh, I've got to know all the parts, not just the part I play, and trying to figure out how everything intertwines and the moving parts. The gap security. Yeah, coaches always talked about being gap sound, but hey, I'm the front side outside linebacker. I'm the strong side outside. I don't need to know what that weak side guy's doing. It's not my job. So and I know that doesn't have to do with character, but those are the things that I did not realize coming into this thing that were going to be so important to me moving ahead. Especially the academic piece, the character piece that was important to me. Wasn't important to me. And this is something I don't even know I've ever told you the story. So my first game as a coach, you spend all that time during the summer getting these kids ready to play. And I get on the bus and my Mike linebacker is not on the bus. I'm like, where the heck is this kid? Where is he at? And the kids, they told him he couldn't get on the bus because he's being suspended for the first 3 games. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And immediately I'm just so upset because I lost a player, and I wasn't even concerned about what did he do to get suspended. What did he do to get suspended? And then I found out it happened during the summer before football even started. I'm sitting there going, well, that doesn't have anything to do with football, does it? It happened before football. It was during the summer. I started to try to, think of ways to justify his actions or how disconnected from Newark football. And like, well, you guys are hurting me, instead of understanding that, no, we're helping that kid understand that you do these stupid things, there's going to be consequences. And that's the big thing that we're suffering with at Lakewood right now is the kids don't understand consequences. You get on the bus instead of coming to practice, there's going to be a consequence. You don't get to make that decision. If we're practicing, you're there. No, I just didn't feel like practicing today. No, you've got to be here. You've got to be accountable. So the accountability and the consequences is something that I wasn't really attuned to as a young coach. I was thinking about what you're hamstringing me. Do you not want me to win football games? Instead of understanding that that's important, yes, but it's not the most important thing as a coach. So
I guess we all got to grow up at some point.
Yeah, we do.
All right, question number 5. Do you have any? What's your contact information? Are you a Twitter guy?
I am a Twitter guy. Let me see, because I changed it a couple of years ago because I had to move it off of East Wake stuff. So let me go find it. And if I can figure out this thing. So it's at Coach Poulnott.
At Coach Poulnott,
Poulnott. At Coach Poulnott.
Yeah. All right. And so I'll put that in the show notes so people can get up with you.
Okay.
Anything you have to promote, or just you have the last word, anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, the only thing I want to promote is that Lakewood football is going to be moving in the right direction. And we have had our struggles, and we'll still have some. Obviously, things don't always rebound in a year. It doesn't matter who the coach is, but the culture's changing, and we're going to keep pushing ahead and do things the right way here. So that's the big thing is wait and see what it's going to be like in here, 3 or 4 years. See if we can't create that tradition I really want to bring to Lakewood.
Well, I know you're going to get it done, buddy. And you did a great job on here. This thing will come out this coming Saturday morning. And for the guys who watch this thing, we're moving all the podcast content. It's going to move over to its own YouTube channel. So there'll be a YouTube channel, hopefully called Championship Culture. And we'll move everything there that has to do with the podcast. So it'll be a separate entity. And John, I appreciate you doing this, man. You did a great job.
Thank you.
There.